called 50 Shades of Grey?
What? 50 Shades of Grey.
50 Shades of Grey.
50 Shades of Grey.
50 Shades of Grey.
And 50 Shades of Grey.
50 Shades of Grey.
50 Shades of Grey.
During the summer of 2012, it became really obvious that you couldn't not have read. It's actually become a book that everybody has to have read, or every woman ought to have read and have an opinion on. So you had to have something to say about 50 Shades. It's been a long time since there's been a book that's been understood as responsible for so much, right? For the revitalisation of local libraries, for the spread of the Kindle, for the rekindling of people's relationships, for arguments, for turning people on. You know, I just think it's been a really fascinating 6 or 7 months since. I think one of the things that was very important to people, what they might have got out of the novel, is not actually around the narrative itself. People I've spoken to about why did they read 50 Shades, where they say, I had to read it because everybody was talking about it in the office, and I needed to be able to say I'd read it. I needed to have something to say. So in a way, it's about, you know, being able to participate in that public discourse around 50 Shades. What does it mean? Is it any good? Is it sexy? Is it not? Oh my goodness, that's a horrible act that they engaged in, or whatever. You know, that's an important element of the pleasures of 50 Shades.
Miss Kavanagh, he extends a long-fingered hand to me once I'm upright. I'm Christian Grey. Are you all right? Would you like to sit? So young and attractive, very attractive. He's tall, dressed in a fine grey suit, white shirt, and black tie with unruly dark copper-coloured hair and intense, bright grey eyes that regard me shrewdly.
He's basically the Edward Cullen archetype, isn't he? He's just sort of long, dark and handsome. Very sort of standard romance character.
I'm surprised he's a ginger.
If this guy is over 30, then I'm a monkey's uncle. And oh God.
I'm just trying to imagine this person here now. Doesn't say if he's fat or thin, does he?
Don't really think that much of him yet.
Their relationship, well, I have my difficulties. Their relationship, but there were elements that I thought were really quite fun and interesting.
I don't like them. Just don't like them. Well, her as a character is... I'm a feminist, I can say, so I don't know, it's just something about her that she's turned on straight away.
Well, she's an idiot to begin with. Like, she's met this, like if you meet an attractive man, you shake his hand, right, okay, but you're not just like, oh, me bod, it's tingling.
Yeah, I definitely think someone's enamoured with someone else here.
You know, played up kind of thing. But I guess a lot of people can relate to it. Like, reading it, they would like to see themselves in that kind of situation.
Like, it's quite a window into the kind of, I don't know, female thought process and such like that when it comes to attraction.
Same as with any kind of novel, there's the escape into another world, there's the opportunity to see a relationship blossom in particular ways, and how that then works out in different ways. I don't think that 50 Shades is any different from any other novel in that respect. Of course, there are sexual elements there. There's a real frisson around romance and around the sexual elements that are there.
You're a sadist. I'm a dominant. His eyes are scorching grey, intense. What does that mean? I whisper. It means I want you to willingly surrender yourself to me in all things.
You're a sadist?
I'm a dominant.
In an S&M club.
She's just so weak. She's just, you know, I'm not adverse to any sort of sexual practice, but she's just like, oh, you know, the fact that he even looks at her seems to be, enough for it.
How misogynistic is that, man? It's just like, oh yeah, you're a chick and I'm dominant, so you better do as I say. It's like, no, I don't think that's too good.
When you have a dominant and submissive, it's usually the person, and when it comes down to extremes, it's usually the person who's the submissive who has the power. because the person can always say stop. If the person is dominating, if it's not something that resorts to violence, if it's something like that, it's going to be the person who is in control is the person being the dominated, because they can at any time say stop.
Okay, you're a dominant. Yeah, fair enough. That's kind of, there's no real big deal made about it, and if that's sort of the only plot in it, then I guess that's it. I guess you read it to hear about that.
I think if both parties are willing, it's like if it's consensual and everyone's willing to do it, then it's up to them. It's fine. I've got no issues with it. It's not something that I think I'd be into, but if other people are into it, that's each their own.
I have a bit of a problem with the idea that actually the novel ought to be introducing BDSM in ways that BDSMers would recognise as being proper and appropriate and all the rest of it. I mean, it isn't a how-to-do manual. It is a novel, a romance with erotic elements to it, and there is a BDSM relationship in it.
It'd be more, something would develop. It would be more like from like spanking or like biting, like playfulness, and then getting a little bit more extreme, and then someone would say, oh, by the way, this is something I'm into. Can we not? Can I tie you up and spank you?
It's probably in the interest of keeping the reader hooked, and the reader probably wouldn't want to go through that kind of slow, taking things slowly, like in the relationship. It creates some early intrigue to keep people rooted into the story.
Quite clearly, it has brought BDSM centre stage, basically. So it's not been the first thing to do that. Films like Secretary brought a very palatable version of BDSM to mainstream cinema audiences, and again did it in a wrapped up in a romance in very similar ways. But it is, I find the requirement for it to offer BDSM in all its ethical and consensual complexities and practical complexities. I think that's expecting too much of a novel, frankly.
When did you start your period, Anastasia? He asks out of the blue, gazing down at me. Yesterday, I mumble in my highly aroused state. He reaches between my legs and pulls on the blue string. What? And gently takes my tampon out and tosses it into the nearby toilet. Holy fuck!
He reaches between my legs and pulls on the blue string. What?
He reaches between my legs and pulls on the blue string. What? And gently takes out my tampon and tosses it into the nearby toilet. What an aim.
I think she's quite right to say holy fuck. It's not usual sexual practice, and in all fairness, in normal sort of sexual type things, it is often the case that men are turned off by that sort of thing, and they certainly wouldn't pull it out. But the thing that makes me laugh is it's almost like part of a sexual act. He gently takes my tampon out and chucks it in the toilet. I mean, away. There's a mess going on right there.
You're into that sort of thing, I guess. Might get you off, but just all I can think of is just the go.
You kind of need things like that to make it, controversial and to make people shocked, because just the standard sex, it's not really, people know it. It's not really edgy or anything. It's
not lovely, and it's not written very well, which probably doesn't help either, to be honest. I don't really think that's anything that someone would realistically do, to be honest.
It does seem a bit of a big jump from dominant, spanking, whatever else is in the book, to going into blood play and unsanitary stuff. I don't know. I think it's a bit. I think it does goes across a line now with that.
There's a line, and they've just gone past the line because there's no need to just show a scene with a woman on a period. I just think that's sick. Just sick.
Seems to me the novel sort of has moved and become really quite important, is that it combines a quite standard romantic novel narrative, but does it with the BDSM, bondage, domination, submission, and masochism elements to it in a way that actually gives it a freshness and some excitement.
Christian is standing over me, grasping a plated leather riding crop. He pushes the tip into my mouth so I can taste the smooth, rich leather. Suck, he commands, his voice soft. My mouth closes over the tip as I obey.
If you want to make like a porno book, just write what happens rather than just. It's dramatically, dynamically making it pretty and making it elaborate for no apparent reason, and making it extreme for just extreme's sake.
Things that I've read, she just seems like, you know, she's like a victim of his power, and that, I mean, seemingly she's enjoying it, but like if you step back and look at it, you're like, oh, it's a little bit, it's not so good. So yeah, I don't think it really represents accurately BDSM.
Because it's not his cock. It's sort of, I think it's sort of it's easier for it, I think she thinks it's easier for a woman to digest. I don't know that she had that much forethought, but that's it.
The way I see it is Christian asserting his kind of dominance over her and succeeding with her, you know, like she says I cannot move, and that's because of like where she is, but it's implying, I think, that you know, that she's kind of a slave under his will, so to speak.
I found them a rollicking good read, actually. I thought they had pace and they moved along.
Like been other books in the past like that, like Madonna's sex book and the joy of sex and things like that back in, I think it was the 70s or something, wasn't it? It's not the first book of its kind, but it's just, I think it's more the craze behind it that's making people go out and buy it. And I'm not buying into that.
I've read a lot of books. This is certainly not my type of book. I'm more like kind of like Lord of the Rings kind of person. But I thought I'd give it a shot, but it's definitely not my cup of tea. Though I do see why it could be somebody else's cup of tea, so I would never really judge on that.
Okay. It serves a purpose. Like, it's, some people would see it as kind of, you know, not very good quality, or, you know, not the best, not classic, but it does serve a purpose, and it's been overwhelmingly popular, so it's good in that way. It's sold very well.
I think it's sort of given women sort of permission to want to experiment and sort of say that, whereas, you know, if you come into the bedroom and you sort of go, well, oh, I don't want to tie you to the bed, often I think they worry that the husband's going to go, well, where have you gotten this from? Whereas it's almost sort of given them sort of going, well, why don't we try it and maybe experiment, and sort of, because he sort of, the good thing is he does sort of tease her and concentrate on her and sort of build up. So it's sort of, you know, if they've said, oh, you should read that, and men are also getting better blowjobs because she gives she frequently gives a blowjob or whatever. If they've read it, then they realise that perhaps they should be concentrating a bit more on the woman.
Criticism that it's badly written is just boring, actually. That's all you've got to say about it. There's that tells me something about you. It tells me nothing about the books themselves. And I think that they have been a really fascinating phenomenon.
I would never condone anybody for reading erotic fiction, because I think it's good, because I think sex is something that should be kind of celebrated in a sense, that people shouldn't be judged on who they have sex with or how they have sex or whatever. It's like, at the end of the day, it's a natural thing.
You know, I don't like it. Fair enough. I don't like this. I think it's shit. But I don't know, if someone else does like it and wants to read it, then yeah, I'll have a bit of a, you know, we'll have a bit of a jokey banter with them. But actually go out and criticise and judge them, it's just absolutely pathetic. Because at the end of the day, the people who are having a go at all these women that are reading it, they probably watch porn. So, you know, it's hypocritical for them to say anything. If someone gets something from this, then they get something from this.